Action activate. Is that it? What's up? It's me, Gazbot, and if here's Action Activate. Also with me,
hey, it is I, the big dog.
I was gonna say, and if I'm Gazbot, this must be Action Activate, but I'm supposed to say if this is, whatever. We're here. We're here. It's the first time we're doing a Dino Fury in quite a while, isn't it, big dog?
It is. So, good problem to have.
Yeah.
We're gonna do Dino Fury, and then there was a Shattered Past episode that we reviewed, and then the Shattered Past episode then spawned a semi-impromptu interview with the creator, Colin Bass, which was very, very fun.
We should say one of the creators. He's a big driving force, but he would be the first one to point out he's not the only creator.
I think he's the primary.
Well, there's Sean Swanson, and then whatever. Go ahead.
The man, the myth, the legend himself, Sam O'Neill.
How about that?
What? Yeah, I said the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sam O'Neill. But yeah, so that was fun, and then here we are back again.
Season 2, episode 8, Serious Business of Dino Fury.
So when I was getting ready for this week's,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what episode did we leave off on? And then I looked and I went, oh yeah, this is the one that I kind of didn't like. And then I watched this one and went, okay.
So is that what's your first impression then before we get into
it? It wasn't great. A lot of it, like, I'm waiting for the upswing.
It wasn't great. I agree. We've seen worse. We've seen better. I feel like a lot of this season, barring a few outstanding examples, has been very fine, mediocre, okay. Sure, I watched it. It's Power Rangers. And I'm not even talking about, because some of the actors and some of the costume design and stuff I do like quite a bit, but just on a gut level when I watch it, most of them I'm not like, oh, this is bad, but I'm also not like, wow, this is great. Most of them just sort of like, okay, fine. And it's a little disappointing. And I was thinking to myself, oh, season 2 is where it's gonna, and I'm like, we're in season 2, so it's like, okay, the second half of season 2 is where it's really gonna kick up. And that's kind of what happened with Beast Morphers, but I feel like it was a more steady up to that. Whereas this, I feel like we've kind of been a plateau for a while. And
like, to me, what got me was last episode we see Void Knight officially kind of like turncoat.
Yeah.
And then this is the first full turncoat episode. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I'll say that I started off really disliking the episode. And it got better, and then it kind of ended on a not great note. But like my grade was changing as I'm like, this might be a D episode. Oh, okay, well maybe it's a C plus. Well, no, maybe like it was just I was all over the place when I was watching it. Let me.
I hate to say that like I don't have much to say because parts of it I know parts of it I kind of zoned out, and then I honestly just kept thinking of like whenever the like low points happened. It was one of those things of like, man, like I just kept thinking of the stuff we like that is the YouTube expanded universe stuff. Like I was like,
you're right, but I'm going to compare it to other Power Rangers seasons, not expanded universe. Or
I always compare it to everything.
Right.
And the only thing I didn't compare it to was the comics because recently, like, I'm super behind on the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Not as far behind as you, but. I am.
I don't consider myself behind if I've given up.
That's
like
fair.
I'll get back to it one day, but I'm not like, oh, I got to catch up. Like I don't have that feeling at all.
Yeah, I do. And yeah, I mean, just a lot of shrugs. I hate to say it, just a lot of, yep, this thing happened.
Well, let me put this back. There's a lot of Buzz Blast, Jane and Jayborg stuff. do you want to go through it chronologically, or you just want to talk about it?
We could just talk about it. I'm fine not going chronologically.
Yeah.
We can, bring up certain beats for it. But like, I'll be honest, at the end, when I saw Jane and Jayborg on the stage, I legit was like, I still had it on, but I was like putting away dishes because that was the chore I needed to do in the moment.
Well, it starts off with kind of the Void Queen being like, we got to go after Void Knight. Like, she is cutthroat. It's not like, oh, I have a little bit of how do I feel about my ex? Like, whether this is the individual she was before she took on the power or not, at this point, she's like, I want to destroy the Earth, kill that guy. He's worse than she wants him worse than the Power Rangers. Like, whether she considers him more of a threat or it's his personal thing. So
I think it's that. I think she's like, he is probably the only person that could legit foil this. The Rangers might be able to, but percentage wise, like, he knows our base, he knows what all you can do, he knows what I can do, and he knows my secrets that nobody else does. So, like, we need to kill him, otherwise he could unravel this whole thing.
And I like that.
Yeah.
And I like, there's a couple jokes in here. I definitely smiled at a couple jokes for sure. And actually in the beginning, because she's like, Mucus and Slither, she makes the new monster, and she's like, you supervise, and Mucus is like, we'll ultravise. I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
it made me smile.
Very on brand
moments like that. Yeah, but then it got heavy into the Jayborg stuff, and it had the hacker, and it wasn't the worst, but it was just sort of like, who cares, kind of,
Well, when I saw the hacker at first, I'm like, this is either going to be really cool or really not cool.
I was hoping it was going to be like the monster of the week or something, like,
and then it wasn't, and then I was like, well, that's disappointing. And then they really revealed it that it was the kid, and I was like, now I really don't care.
Yeah, and the Ion stuff, it wasn't, it wasn't as bad as some of the stuff they've done with him. But the fact that he was so into these lame jokes, it's like, is that because he's an alien? I don't know. Like, they're like he wasn't like, oh, they're kind of funny, but to the point where he's like, I'm not even upset that anything's going wrong or that there's a crime being committed because these lame jokes are so funny. It's okay. It's like, come on, Ion, like, really?
I've written him off as a character, to be honest.
I do think, but it came back around where when he saw the garbage and picked it up, I'm like, that's like one of the best things I've seen him do. Because he's just like, oh, garbage, I should pick this up. And then he was nice to the little girl. And then he figured out it was her. So like, that was some of the best Ion stuff we've seen. So what I was saying, it started off like, oh, really? But I do think that the middle towards second half of Ion was like the best we've seen of him, I think.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm trying to think of the next point I want to talk about. I mean,
about Jane's dancing?
No, I don't want to talk about Jane's dancing.
And how she like breaks her leg and arm and is still somehow dancing in the same video. And
again, I literally can't tell you exact details from that scene because I wasn't fully watching that scene. That's how much I was
I will say this one thing. I had a few issues. One of the issues I had with it was, how did this video get played by accident? How is a frozen computer stopping it? Like that didn't make sense. But once they said a hacker's doing it, I was like, oh, okay, that actually, this as a malfunction makes no sense. But if it was intentional, then it made more sense. So I like that.
In terms of the fights, nothing to write home about. I mean, they were fights.
They were fine. They were all fine. I liked, going back to Ion, there was a point where he did his armor and he was sort of running and he armored up in the middle of it. The attack didn't work because of the guy's shield, but it was cool that he did that sort of running morph into the...
Yeah, I do like the non-cutscene, for lack of a better term, kind of transitions that they do. Like, some of my favorite things are, especially in later like parts of a season, when there's literally no time for a full morph sequence, where they're like, no, there's too much A plot in this. You're morphing like as we're going, and we're just gonna pile on either the action or the story or both. I loved his disguise, by the way.
Is it a disguise so much as like...
I feel like it's a half disguise, like it's a ranger disguise.
Well, here's the thing: the purple shirt, fine, but like he has to look like some kind of like, I'm a badass from the future dystopian time. So I just
he looks like a Power Ranger was trying to do like a Terminator cosplay incorrectly.
Yes. I kind of like it, to be honest. Like, it's so ridiculous. I kind of like it because it serves no purpose. Like, you can literally see the costume designer got some, I think they're called like web belts or whatever, and they just like wrap them around everywhere. Like, it's not like, but I think what really ties it together for me is the fanny pack. That's the part that really...
See, the thing that ties it together for me is, what is the one thing that looks out of place? The gray cap. Why? Because that is the disguise to hide his face.
Oh, I see. Well, no, but nobody knows what he looks like.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's like, wonder what this man with belts all over him and a bright purple shirt is doing. I can't tell because he's got that cap and a purple drone.
And a purple remote. See, the purple I don't mind because that's a trope. But it is silly that he would need a disguise since they addressed the fact that nobody knew what he looked like until this episode.
But just
Jane doing her thing. But a lot of Jane. There's Ion loving it. But no,
I thought that was a pretty creepy mask considering.
Yeah, it reminded me of like the they wear the V for Vendetta masks. Anonymous.
Yeah,
I think it's Anonymous.
Yeah, it made me think of that, and I'm trying to think what. And the first Purge movie.
Oh yeah, okay. I do like the villain of the week that sniffs people out, and he's powerful and he's kind of an interesting design. Like I got nothing bad to say about him at all.
I love any villain or hero for that matter that has those arm blades. Like really? Aesthetically, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of like Batman as a youth. I love like gauntlets that you attack with, and then the shoulder pieces really remind me of Kamen Rider Gaim Durian arms, where they're all spiky and stuff. Okay, so I really liked this design, and shout out to my Kamen Rider fans out there.
Yeah, I have no problems with, and that's the thing. A lot of the the bones of the episode are fine. Like there's a lot of good stuff, but like there's too much Buzz Blast Jane stuff. The B plot was just too much. There's too much B plot.
Yeah.
But this is another joke I liked a lot where he's like, I smell something, and they're looking for Void Knight, and I do like that the Rangers keep showing up. And they're like, we don't care about you.
Yeah,
we're not interested in you. But I like that Chase is like sniffing out trouble, and then he says, "What does he say? You just found a whole steaming pile of it." And I was like, "Oh!" And everyone else was like, "Oh!" Like I thought that was good. That made me laugh. So once again, it's this weird thing where I want to be like, this season really gets the comedy right, except they keep throwing in weird slapsticky, reality bending stuff as well. Like
I forget which episode it was this season, but there was one where we like highly praised them on the subtle comedy, and there was it was the music episode. It was like episode 5 or 6 or something, where Javi is in that band, and the lead singer's a jerk, and he has the key that he needs and all this. And like everything was good. Jane and Jayborg were in it, or at least Jane was. She was solid. Like everything about it, I'm like, this is good. And then we get this, and I'm like,
right.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah. It's like they don't trust the writing. They're like, yeah, we wrote in a lot of like witty one-liners and funny dialogue, but if somebody doesn't slip on poop, it's not going to work. Yeah.
And if we don't bring up poop in a very backward way, then it's a failure.
I'm not saying the poop isn't funny, to be clear. I mean, here's Slither doing his usual thing. He's like, spinny thing. And I like that Red Ranger slashy thing. That was funny.
Yep.
I like that.
And again, things like that, good. Yeah. I love that like face mask chest deal.
Cool.
It kept throwing me because of like the wick kind of thing on top, or smoke
like
plume. Yeah, that's like the whole time I was like, oh wait, that's not his face. Okay.
Well, I think because let me see if I can get. Oh, this is the scene I was talking about where he kind of. I'm sorry for pausing it, but we've been getting copyright strikes, so I can't really show it. But that was a cool scene. But yeah, the way the wick goes, I'm trying to see if I can get a shot of it. I guess it's whatever it's supposed to be. It looks like the sinews of a humanoid neck. Yeah. So I did wonder if at some point another head was going to pop up or something like made of fire.
The head.
Right there. See, it looks like the clavicle, and then whatever you call these, and then yeah.
The head, because of like that wick, reminded me of like Angry Goblin Slayer. I don't know if you've heard of that anime, but whenever he powers up, it he has like a red mane, but like his eye like glows red, and then like it goes down. Okay, and that's what I was thinking of. Really interesting anime for those who have watched it. The highs are high and the lows are fan servicey.
All right, so they more or less losing, and then and to just double down on the Ion stuff, he's heard these jokes once or twice already. He's just watching a replay of these jokes, and it's like like even like jokes I don't listen to them 5 times in a row the same day. It doesn't work that way. Humor just whatever. He's an alien, I guess. But they're all annoyed. I do like that they're all like, "What is wrong with you? Stop it! It's not funny, and this is serious." I appreciate that. Makes it more okay to me that they're addressing
when they call it out. Like with is Chase the Black Ranger?
Yes.
Okay. We keep doing that thing where
or is Chase his real name?
I was about to say I can't remember which is which.
I think Chase is his real name because Chase was Dino Charge.
Yeah,
Black.
Javi. Yeah. There we
Javi.
go.
Yes.
Yeah, like with Javi's. With Javi's joke. Like it was a thing. You hear it and you're like, and then everybody else, no, that was bad. Okay, good. You acknowledged it. Thank you.
Well, and that makes it a joke then.
Yeah.
The fact that it was a bad joke. So they go here. They're looking around. This is the part we already talked about. Like this to me was the best Ion stuff, really. And then he catches on her. I would have liked it better if he didn't have to use his telepathic abilities, like to figure it out. Like, because she's like, "What has 4 wheels and flies?" She's like, "I wrote that joke." I don't know about you. I mean, that's a joke that's been around forever, but that literally might be like one of the first jokes I ever heard. Like, I remember being a kid in like grade school, and like, I don't know what the first joke I ever heard was, but that was one of them. And she's like, "I wrote it," and like, so I'm like, does she think she wrote that, or is she lying, or whatever?
Well, it's another thing too of like, who could she get away with saying that to?
Just him.
Ion.
Right. But I thought when she said that, that's when he was like, whoa, it's her. Then he uses mental powers. Okay, fine. Maybe unnecessary, but then he really knew. And then he gets savage and he's like, "Chicken, you're real." I thought it was kind of funny. But if he had continued to take it, I would have been like, ooh, that might not have been very rangery. But the fact that he just did it to prove a point and then gave it back and let her decide, like, this, I think this was him being his best as a ranger in this scene.
Yeah, it definitely highlighted so I've learned a lot of lessons recently.
Yes.
Let me return the favor.
Yeah.
You ever been on an ice cream truck that's going away? Because I have.
I love this. They show a corner of this guy's shirt, and it's not going to be him because of the way they're doing it. But I thought it would be just a guy that happens to have a purple shirt. But then they went the extra mile, and he's wearing the hat. He's kind of in good shape. He's even got a strap.
He's got a strap, just the one.
Yeah, it's too much. I was wondering if maybe he was like, because he's so close, like, oh, is that like the stunt actor for him or something? Like, is this guy that's like on the set to be his double already?
I thought that was funny too.
Yeah. Hey, Rangers, come quick. So then they come, and then this is when they're like, okay, well, I guess we kind of, they start getting their butts kicked. Void Knight shows up, and they're like, I guess I kind of believe. Oh no, I'm sorry. Their powers aren't working because he's got some kind of force field for close-up attacks, which wasn't really clear to me at all why their attacks weren't working. I didn't realize he had a force shield. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention. Did you get that before Void Knight said it?
I was not paying attention, and then Void Knight said it, and I went, there you go.
I thought he was just like so strong that he was shrugging off their attacks. When the Void Knight said it, it's like, oh, okay. And then they're like, we'll get the rest of the sporks, and then we'll trust you, which I think is fair. They didn't like attack him. Like, we kind of believe you. And that's nice because it sets up a confrontation with the Void Queen, which the whole Void Queen angle I find very interesting. So anything that forwards that.
Yeah, it's funny because we've obviously known about part of her existence up until this point, but it's not.
Didn't go the direction I was expecting.
I was going to say, because I was about to contradict myself. Usually when I think of steps like this in a Power Ranger season, I think back of the second in command is now first in command because the first in command got destroyed, or for whatever reason, a brand new big bad that is the boss's boss is now coming in, and it's like, oh, Dark Spectre's the new big bad. And you're like, okay, or
they team up.
Yeah, and I always think of SPD with the big pirate guy, whose name I completely forget, but he had like a big space pirate ship.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And he had like the pirate ship like wheel was like part of his accoutrement. Yeah.
And then the not quite ending, but the getting near the ending, she comes in and she's like, it was me and I'll fix it. And then the camera comes on and it's not her. And he's like, oh, I'm still watching because why? I don't know. Oh man, what if he's gonna like fall in love with Jane or something? Could you imagine? He keeps spying on Buzz Blast, even though he has no reason to. And he's like, this Jane, she's so powerful as a woman.
Rather intriguing.
Yeah. The way one moment she's a competent businesswoman and the next moment she's a cartoon. I find that very intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everything about this, like I hate, and I say this multiple times on these reviews, I hate how whenever Jane and Jayborg are on screen, I like tense up and hope it's not bad. Not that I hope it's good. I just hope that it's not bone-cringingly terrible, and that is an awful feeling when it comes to characters on the show that we're supposed to like.
It's weird because I feel like we're being harder on them than we were on Ben and Betty, and even like Victor and Monty and Ninja Steel and stuff. Like I feel like for some reason I'm being harder on them than I was on other seasons, and I feel like maybe because they're inconsistent, I think is what it is. Because you don't know what you're going to get. With the other ones, it's like, this is what we're going to get. And, or the tone of this, like with Ninja Steel, the tone of the whole season was kind of silly. And like, where this one's like a darker sort of tone.
Yeah.
And
you have the overachieving high school bully and his partner.
Yeah.
Who
I actually, with Victor and Monty, I think that those characters work in that show, and I think the actors do a good job. The only thing I didn't like about that was the same thing where it was cartoony, where they're like flying around like cartoons. But the actual idea of they're the comic relief in that situation made sense, and they were consistent.
Yeah. Ben and Betty, short of like a bad CG effect, were good because Ben, wanted to do the right thing, and his sister's like, here's a crazy thing we're gonna do. Let's go. And
their jobs were somewhat inconsistent, like what their actual duties were, but their characters were consistent. And the fact that their father ran the place, I got the impression he just kept shuffling them around so they didn't get fired. And I'm not saying that like all these comic reliefs are amazing, but like I do think that it's not like these two actors are the worst comic relief we've ever seen. I think the inconsistency in the writing matched with the tone of this show just make them stick out way worse than
like kind of like how you praised Ion in that scene in the park, like that music episode with Javi. I'm like, why is Jane not like this all the time? There was another episode where she was like super helpful, and I think it was like the first episode of this season where like everything was seamless. She came back from the trip. She and J-Borg were goofy, but like within reason, and like everything worked. And then you get this where it's like boop doo, I'm still dancing. So I love that armor, and I shouldn't.
What?
I said I love that armor, and I really shouldn't.
Why not? What's wrong with it? It's cool.
It looks super goofy on the shoulders, and like the color contrast is awkward, but like I love it.
I mean, green and red are complementary colors. That's why you see them around Christmas time.
Yeah, but that's not the green I would think of. That's kind of like a baby poop green.
Right. I was thinking an olive drab, maybe, or a khaki camo kind of color.
Definitely baby poop. Like that episode of South Park where they paint the walls. That's what I think of when I see that color.
Okay. So Void Knight comes. Void Knight comes in and he's like, "You got to use ranged attacks to weaken his force field." Which, okay, fair enough. He has inside info, helps him. Didn't hear the thing with the force field earlier. You didn't either. If you heard it in the comments, let us know. Maybe we missed it. This part was weird to me because what did this remind you of? Hold on. Oh, I'm trying to not get a copyright strike here, but I want to show the image.
Oh, it's a Hadouken.
No, I mean, half the energy blasts could be compared to a million anime. No, but hold on. I had it paused perfectly a second ago. Oh, my goodness. The image, it looks like here it comes. Like this X-ray. Yeah. And then, like, you see something shatter. All his bones shatter.
Yeah, it was a fatality in Mortal Kombat.
It's exactly a fatality in Mortal Kombat. Like the newer ones, if you only played the old ones, the new ones, they literally freeze, do like an X-ray, and show you what's breaking in their body. What is that doing in this show? It's so weird. And it takes it, usually it's like the monster is destroyed, or we've eliminated the threat, or they've been sent away. But this is like, no, we shattered all the bones in this living creature. It's very weird.
Its face has a rib cage, does whatever. Words have no meaning.
Weird. It was very
this is another one of those episodes where it's a dartboard of like, what are we gonna do to fill this 2 minutes? Fatality. This is a children's show. Doesn't matter. They don't know bones.
And is this Sentai or is this Power Rangers? Either way, it's weird. It's weird. Because they could have cut, if it was Sentai footage, you could cut that out. You don't have to show the bones, whatever. So this is where they're like, okay, we kind of trust you, but get the Sporix back. And then meanwhile, they go here. And so now she's sort of like, hey, maybe I'll give you a chance to tell some of your jokes. And she's, oh, it all worked out. And he's like, oh, yeah. And they're like, her jokes are cheesy. And he's like, no, they're not. And she's like, I like that they're cheesy, which I appreciated. Fine, own what your thing is. But then she does the nacho cheese joke. And I'm like, that's another joke that everyone's heard a million times. Like, they couldn't write any original jokes for her. Like,
she is the Amy Schumer of Power Rangers, just doubling down on stealing jokes. Or not stealing jokes is the case.
Allegedly.
Oh, no. I have a strong feeling that those are stolen.
The views of the Big Dawg Defender do not necessarily represent those of Action Activate or the Gazbot parent channel, just to be clear.
I feel like that could be said for every episode that we disagree on our opinion, though. It goes without saying.
I don't think we're big enough that we would get sued, but saying stuff like that could get you in trouble, is all I'm saying.
If Amy Schumer's suing me, I think she started at the wrong place.
I think you're right. Oh, and then she's like, I'm going to teach them. Now I'm going to dance for real. And
the second this started is when I did dishes.
I'm not 100% opposed to the idea of like, those were her practice tapes. She was embarrassed, but now look, she has been practicing and now she's pretty good. And she does do a good dance, so fine. But the dances she was doing earlier didn't seem to be the same dance she's doing now. So I guess it's like, well, she switched up. She's doing all this tap dancing. Everybody's impressed. I didn't really hate it until, but it also was like, look, we're getting thousands of new subscribers. We're going to hit 10 million. We know that's not how that works. So she's doing all this. She seemingly makes a mistake and kicks her shoes up, but then she puts them on her hands and tap dances in a not very convincing effect where she's being dangled. It's a kid show, fine, but it was just, it was.
That's where I ended like the episode.
Yeah. So like I said, the beginning I was like, where's this going? It picked up a lot in the middle, and then it just ended on a weird note. So all in all, it's kind of a forgettable episode. Nothing. I mean, Void Knight kind of forwarded that plot, but honestly, I'm betting if we skip this episode and the next episode comes, we wouldn't be like, what happened with Void? Like, oh, they're in conflict. We kind of knew that was coming. So it felt very fillery and it felt very whatever and had some not so great parts. Like, honestly, weirdly, my favorite part is what they did with Ion, just because it was nice to see them do something good with Ion. And a couple of one-liners.
Every episode we have like this, I think of the Jonathan Entwistle tweet of like, pretty much half of the show is filler because I wanted it to be better. They said you had to do double the episodes. So every time I do a mental tally of, okay, so this is clearly filler. So how many good quote unquote episodes do we have left?
And that, yes, fair enough. And that might be 100% factual, but that's an explanation, not an excuse.
No, that's what I know. Yeah. Filler can be done well. This is bad filler.
Yes, if we said, hey, at the end of the day, this didn't really, because there's especially early Power Rangers, it's like tons of filler, but it's that thing of like, it doesn't have to be super consequential to the plot, but that doesn't excuse bad jokes and weird writing and inconsistent character. Like, you could still have Star Trek, especially earlier Star Trek, it was mostly episodic, but that didn't matter because it was good for that one episode and it didn't necessarily tie into the other stuff. So filler episodes are not inherently bad, I guess is what I'm saying.
To me, it seems like a thing of the episodes we really like seem to all be the same creative team. And then these episodes have some weird thing that we don't like. And it's because it's another random point of view that they're like, let's do this.
I think you're right. But have we ever actually crunched the data and looked at who worked on what?
If someone wants to crunch that data, let us know. I'm not doing it and he's not doing it.
I'm not. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing if we found out like, oh, these writers we like and these we don't, or something like that. But also I'd be interested, but at the same time, I don't want to necessarily point a finger specifically at someone. I think in Beast, see now, I think the Matt Moniker, one of our fans or one of our loyal longtime fans, had done a crunch on this. I forget if it was Beast Morphers or season 1 of this, because it was a while back, but I don't remember how far back, where he did say something like, oh, it seems like these different creative teams do these different things, like not quite as blatant as what we're saying, but he did do a bit of a breakdown. I'm not asking you to do that again.
Yeah, but definitely not.
But yeah, so I don't know. It, especially, it's that thing too of like, is this going to be the last season of Power Rangers as we know it? It's such a mediocre one to go out on. Like if we ended with RPM, that would have been a good one to go out on. If we ended on Beast Morphers, which even tied into RPM, that would be a good one to go out on. There are things about this season I like. I like the Red Ranger quite a bit. I like Slither. I like the villains in general, actually. But yeah, I don't know. It's just very mediocre. It's just very mediocre.
One thing I saw, and I don't remember the source, so I'm not going to confirm it. I will call it a heavy rumor until you or I can see it, and we can low-key look right now. But I saw that Jonathan Entwistle might not be the leading force of Power Rangers anymore due to creative differences.
Wow, that's interesting because... Okay.
So if you want to filibuster and I look it up, we can do that, or vice versa. Which would you
filibuster a little bit? All
right.
I'll filibuster in this way. I put up a video earlier last week, just myself real quick, talking about the YouTube channel in general. For those that didn't watch it, The Gazbot channel, which is what Action Activate is on, was originally created. It was just my art channel. I did some toy reviews, things like that. And I started doing Power Ranger stuff. And I've been doing mostly Power Rangers videos, not so much art. And I was talking about I was going to get back to doing some vlogs and art. And should I split into 2 channels? And interestingly enough, a lot of the responses I got from the different platforms had different answers. So if you haven't answered, or if you have an opinion, throw it on this one. Why not? But the idea being that I would keep one channel be art, vlog, anything, just my own stuff, and the other would be just Power Ranger stuff, or Big Dog stuff. And on that YouTube video, almost everybody was like split into 2 channels. Almost everybody. There was difference of opinion of this should be the Power Rangers channel and I start a new art channel, or this should stay the art channel and whatever. But almost everybody said split it. But on other platforms like Instagram, almost everyone's like, no, put it all in one, keep it together. Why split it up? Just make different playlists, which I do have different playlists, to be clear. So it kind of confused me because it was so overwhelmingly one way or the other on the different platforms. I'm leaning with YouTube viewers are the ones, like, maybe people follow me on Instagram and don't even watch my YouTube videos, and that's why they have that opinion. I don't know. One of the things that I talked to Big Dog about is right now he has no access to being able to upload. Like, anything that's uploaded has to go through me, and I have to work on it and stuff. If I split this off into just a channel called Action Activate, I could give him permissions, and then he could upload whenever he wanted. And it could just be the Action Activate channel that we share, as opposed to him always having to go through me. And maybe you might get more content that way too. And certainly Big Dog would comment more because I get notifications for comments and he doesn't. So just something to think about if you have an opinion that is, but I will say this. If I split it, this channel will definitely stay Gazbot and be my channel, and the new one will be the Action Activate channel. So that, if that makes a difference. But anyway, is that enough filibustering for you?
It is. So I looked, and Illuminerdi had this article from 6 days ago. And apparently there was an account that said, oh man, I guess he's leaving Power Rangers, and it showed 2 side-by-side screenshots of his bio, and one of them says, like, in the bio that it doesn't have him saying, like, oh, I'm the driving force of Power Rangers. And then below that, in the same article, is Ranger Liz, who some of you guys might follow or watch, saying, by the way, this is 100% made up from a parody account. Don't necessarily put weight in it. There is no official announcement. So could just be a bad prank, but now we know confirmation in case you've seen it somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. There you have it. Straight from the Big Dog's mouth.
From Illuminerdi's reading article.
I thank you for that. So yeah, if you want to comment on the episode we just watched, or what writers and production teams you think we like, or have opinions on splitting the channel. The one wrinkle about the splitting the channel is my thought was, for a while I would post on both until people got over it. But I seem to remember somebody talking about how if it's the exact same video, YouTube gets weird if you post it in 2 places, and it'll cancel one or be a problem. So then I would have to be changing it in some way, and that's more work that, so I don't know. It might have to be a cold turkey thing where, like, okay, starting this Tuesday, we're done here. I'm not sure about that. I'll look into it. But yeah. So anything else from you?
They announced the Power Lance for Lightning Collection thing and the Blue Ranger helmet. So
yeah.
Cool beans for those that are interested.
I saw somebody complaining online saying they wish that they had the air holes under the nose like they did in the show, and none of the people were like, well, they weren't always, that was a stunt helmet. I understand why they would say that. I don't want to say the person's name. I think it was, well, I won't say because they didn't tell me to say this. But if you're not going to wear it, then you don't want those air holes, and it looks nicer on your shelf. If you are going to wear it, I am not a do-it-yourself guy. But even I can take a little Dremel drill and go bzz, 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 and make a couple holes. So I think it's smarter to not have them, and you could add them if you want. I think that is a good move. Yeah,
you can't like putting a filler in it for those that didn't want them would be way more difficult.
Way harder. Yeah, I would not trust myself to do that, but I would trust myself to make a couple air holes.
But other than that, I am the Big Dog.
Because of what you said earlier, if you're still looking for Power In Space Silver, which is a Walgreens exclusive, which no one seems to have been able to find. They also had a Marvel Legends Quasar figure announced roughly around the same time, and that is now available on Big Bad Toy Store. Why that matters, but this is Big Dog's news, is that because that might mean that other exclusives like Power Rangers in Space Silver might show up other places like Big Bad Toy Store. So if you're still looking for it like we are, expand your search. If you don't go to Big Bad Toy Store, maybe sign up for their mailing list so you can get notified. There might be hope to get it somewhere easier to get than Walgreens.
Yeah, I think it's going to come out where, who knows.
I just want it.
Same.
And I don't want to have to pay $40, $50. It's already, the prices are going up enough. I don't need to pay scalper prices on top of it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Yeah, but that was Big Dog's news that I just told.
Yeah, it's a running theory, but there is some credibility behind it.
I mean, Quasar 100% was a Walgreens exclusive up until a few months ago.
Yep.
So who knows? But until next week, when barring something crazy happening, we'll be doing the next episode of Dino Fury. I have been Gazbot.
Still the Big Dog.
And
to the power.
To the power, indeed.
See you guys later.
The end credits.
Boo 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 doo boo doo ba doo ba dur. I have something I need to share with you after we record that I saw literally moments before recording the show.
You want to share with me, or you want to share with the audience?
I want to share it with you, and the audience might find out about it in the next few days if it is truthful news.
Oh, I see. So this is sort of a tease.
This is a tease. I will confirm this information later if it is indeed fact, but I'm not one to be spreading rumors in the Ranger community. So,
wow,
see you guys later.
That's a tease for me, but I'll get the answer in 10 seconds. So, sorry, everybody. Bye.